I think in the short term, I expect volatility. In the medium to long term, I expect bullish. In the short term, I expect volatility. I would not be surprised if we dipped. I know this is repetitive. It might get boring, but I would regret not taking every opportunity to reiterate some of the most important messages as a Bitcoiner. You stay humble, you stack sats, ignore volatility, expect volatility. Don't get scared out, don't get worn out. The reality is, I've said it, even through this whole Q1, even through something like March, a lot of chop, potentially a dip, a lot of volatility. I think Q2 onwards, so starting spring, summer months, I expect the dollar to weaken and significantly. And I think the market will have picked a direction, and that direction will be up.
Jack Mallers acknowledges that in the short term, Bitcoin is experiencing significant volatility. He emphasizes that while he expects a bullish trajectory in the medium to long term, the near future could see price swings, potential dips, and uncertainty. This uncertainty, according to Mallers, is largely tied to macroeconomic conditions, particularly the evolving stance of the Federal Reserve under the new Trump administration.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
I think Trump and this new administration has some things to work out with the Fed. We've seen some weak economic data, some concerns. The reverse repo market has been draining. The question is, where is the liquidity coming from? How is the dollar going to weaken? Trump is inflationary. If you're going to reshore and rebuild America here in the country, it's going to take a lot of money that we don't have to do it. So it's inflationary. You're going to have to print money. How and when is what everyone wants to know. Until the market gets that certainty, it will not pick a direction. It might sell off. So when I look at a $92,000 Bitcoin, guys, since November, we've been in the same range. Post-election, we've been in the $90,000 to $110,000 range. I could have taken a nap. As soon as everyone found out Trump got elected, I could have taken a nap, woke up, and nothing will have changed. That's the crazy thing about this market, is I say, it'll scare you out or it'll wear you out. Sometimes both. The name of the game is to just be in it. Just stay alive. Just stay humble and just stack sats. Just live your life profitably. So I know this is repetitive. It might get boring, but I would regret not taking every opportunity to reiterate some of the most important messages as a Bitcoiner. You stay humble. You stack sats. Ignore volatility, expect volatility. Don't get scared out, don't get worn out. When I look at, Bitcoin in the last 24 hours is down 3.3%. Ethereum is down 10%. Ripple is down 10%. Solana is down 14%. Are we surprised on this show? No, not at all. All of these things are meme coins. There's no long-term value accrual to these things. They are not money. They are failed technologies at best. They are arbitrages on the trend. Okay. Bitcoin goes down. These things are going to go down even more. These things are getting absolutely demolished against Bitcoin. And it kind of goes to show which project is legitimate and which isn't. It doesn't impress me when everything's inflating against the dollar that you're inflating as well. What impresses me is relative strength against Bitcoin. Is there anything in the world you'd rather own than Bitcoin? And here's another example that answer is a resounding no. No. Not even no. Not even close. Like, wouldn't fathom owning any of these pieces of shit ever. I see a lot of people in panic. I feel great. I feel great. I live my life profitably. I run a profitable business. I stack sats every day. I try and remain humble, and I expect the volatility. I expect to scare you out, wear you out. So it's a good day to be stacking sats. It's a good day to be stacking. I'm going to go to bed richer in Bitcoin terms than I was when I woke up. That's a good day. So I always find this funny as well, in that, I don't know why the market is so distressed. I think this is a cleanse, a cleaning of those that aren't deserving to be here, potentially. The reality is, I've said it, even through this whole Q1, even through something like March, a lot of chop, potentially a dip, a lot of volatility. I think Q2 onwards, so starting, spring, summer months, I expect the dollar to weaken and significantly. And I think the market will have picked a direction, and that direction will be up. It's been my position for many months. If it ever changes, I'll let you guys know, but it has not changed. Waking up and seeing a $92,000 Bitcoin, I thought made some sense. This is growing to become one of the most liquid, saleable global markets in the world. That is Bitcoin. Markets are really truth-seeking machines, and Bitcoin is the most truthful, accessible free market in the world. It has intrinsic value in that way. On a Sunday night, it's the only way for humans to express themselves with time and energy. That's insanely valuable. Now we're under $2 trillion in market cap, but you're talking about a global market that's around, it's more than a tenth of gold at this point. What's gold's market cap? It's more than a tenth of gold. So it's approaching gold levels. Global, saleable, liquid, 24/7 free market. So I don't know, everyone wanted me to talk about Ken Griffin getting into Bitcoin. I'm not surprised by Ken Griffin getting into Bitcoin. I'd bet you Ken Griffin is surprised he's getting into Bitcoin. And that says a lot more about Ken Griffin than it says about Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is an ego test. And I don't know. I've heard that guy has an ego. Never met him though. So don't want to talk shit, but you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve, as they say. As soon as you're willing to put your ego aside and realize that it's not all about you, that's when you understand Bitcoin. And maybe Ken Griffin took that journey recently. Good for him.
Mallers sees this as a disconnect between traditional valuation models and the realities of Bitcoin. He believes that MicroStrategy's stock is more correlated with Bitcoin's price than with its business fundamentals, which could present an opportunity for investors who understand Bitcoin's long-term potential. Mallers expects the dollar to weaken significantly starting in Q2, with spring and summer months likely bringing clearer direction to the market. He maintains that Bitcoin's long-term trajectory remains upward, and this period of volatility will serve as a cleansing phase, eliminating weak hands and reinforcing Bitcoin's dominance.
So Saylor closed a $2 billion convertible note offering at a 0% coupon and a 35% premium. So just so everyone is aware, what that means is he's selling to fixed income investors. And he's selling a note that gives you 0% coupon. It means how much do you make annually by buying this note? You don't make anything annually, 0%. And the premium is 35%. So when do you get the option to convert into stock? 35% higher than the stock is trading today. And so he does this because at that 35% conversion, at that 35% premium, that's higher than it is today, where if he buys the Bitcoin, that's what he means when it's accretive to his shareholders. He calls this BTC yield. So he took the $2 billion and he bought 20,356 Bitcoin. MicroStrategy now has over 499,000 Bitcoin. They've purchased for about $33.1 billion, which gives them an average Bitcoin price of a little over $66,000. Now, what I thought was interesting is that the market did not necessarily appreciate it. MicroStrategy is down on the day. And I really think the interesting thing about this is I don't think that the public markets necessarily understands MicroStrategy and understands these businesses that are trying to build towards a Bitcoin standard. Because if you're pricing MicroStrategy on was this transaction accretive? Basically, it's where's the growth? Where are you valuing the growth? If you're valuing the growth on like an EPS, earnings per share, or a lot of this old fiat garbage, then it doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you're valuing the growth on, are they adding more Bitcoin than they are diluting, right? Then MicroStrategy grew today and they continue to grow. And if you run rate their growth, it's very impressive. So I just thought it was kind of interesting, a subtle point that Saylor could have bought $2 billion of Bitcoin and the market didn't appreciate it. To me, it tells me a few things. One, the market doesn't understand these businesses, this idea of building towards a Bitcoin standard versus a fiat standard. The public markets don't know how to price it, don't know how to price multiples, don't understand how to value its growth and where to find the growth. Just totally like nobody knows. Not saying it's anyone's fault, but the efforts to communicate this to the world have not worked. That's it. That's, spade a spade. That's number one. Number two is that MicroStrategy seems to be trading much more correlated to Bitcoin than it is to its growth and acquiring of Bitcoin. And, Saylor talks about they're a refinery, they're a Bitcoin refinery. They refine, the Bitcoin energy and volatility and stuff. And so I found that interesting as well, because that goes against the notion of this premium. And so MicroStrategy, I think, is down 50% this year. So its stock has been cut in half, something like that. And Bitcoin's only down 15%. And so it goes to show, again, there are pros and cons to holding Bitcoin and holding MSTR. I don't think the world fully understands MSTR and all these other companies that are doing this thing. They don't know how to price it. They don't understand where to find the growth and how to value the growth, how to put a multiple on the growth. And then also, I think it's how do I say, in a politically correct way? Listen, it's interesting, Saylor added $2 billion of Bitcoin to his balance sheet, and what he calls BTC yield was less than 7%. And so if this stock is going to, perform down 50% when Bitcoin's down 15, how much BTC yield do you need to justify that level of performance? Interesting. I just found it interesting. No one's right or wrong. I think that there's just a lot to gather from how the market is treating MicroStrategy, how it's pricing its premium. I think it's interesting. That's where I will leave it for now.
Mallers reiterates that Bitcoin is not just another asset. It is the most liquid, saleable, and free market in existence. He describes it as the only truly accessible market where people can express their economic energy in real time across the globe 24/7 without intermediaries. He also points out that Bitcoin's market capitalization, currently just under $2 trillion, is now over 1/10 of gold's. As Bitcoin continues its march toward global recognition, he expects its liquidity, adoption, and market stability to strengthen, solidifying its role as digital gold. Please like and subscribe.